Are you ready to return to the further? The further is a world far beyond our own, yet it's all around us. A place without time as we know it. It's a dark realm filled with the tortured souls of the dead, a place not meant for the living. They crave life, the chance to live again, but there are other entities who are malevolent and have a more insidious agenda. For years, psychic Elise Rayner and her partners Tucker and Specs have battled the demonic entities that populate the further. Now a new threat has crossed over from that world into ours. A threat that does not merely seek to possess the souls of the living. A threat that wants to steal the living and take them back to their worlds of shadows, keeping them there for all of eternity. To face this new threat, we are going to have to confront the demons where they live. We are going to have to return to the further. Get ready for Insidious, Return to the Further, a terrifying journey into the paranormal based on all 3 chapters of Insidious. With my voice as a guide, keep a steady stride. Into the further we go. Insidious is coming to Halloween Horror Nights, Hollywood and Orlando. So yes, it's official. Our first coast-to-coast announcement for 2015 is Insidious. Now, I have been very much quick to critique Insidious in the past. Now, for those of you that know me, you probably know by now I was never a fan of the first movie. Now, granted, I haven't seen it since it first came out, so I probably need to revisit it to get ready for Horror Nights. But I'm never a fan of the first movie. Love the second, love crazy Patrick Wilson, and the third, it was pretty good. So now everything in one makes a lot more sense because of Chapter 3. So we're going to talk about both coasts individually. Now, granted, I know I'm an Orlando guy, and this is the event I'm actually going to be able to attend because, unfortunately, my Hollywood trip fell through, but 2020 looks pretty nice right now. Picking up what I'm putting down. So, let's talk about Hollywood's. First off, Hollywood's basically getting a return. This is the return of Insidious, which was known as one of the most popular mazes in Hollywood's history. And in 2013, it was loved by everyone. Also, in 2013, everybody on my coast decided they would be really upset that Hollywood got it and Orlando didn't. It took a couple years for it to finally happen, but Orlando gets it too. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, in the concept art for Insidious Chapter 3, Lee Winnell created a new demon. This demon never made it into the film. But this demon will be inside the maze in Hollywood. This maze is also going to be located in the Jurassic Park overflow queue, adding more credibility to the fact that the stairs that my good friend Tristan, HHN Fan 16, saw in his video, and the bloody handprint, which made me somewhat jump to a possible conclusion that it might be sinister, the bloody handprint and the stairs, made me think that may be a possibility. But that was quickly debunked on Twitter via John Murdy by saying the only way sinister would ever happen is if they loosened up on their child labor laws. Because obviously, they're children. That's the reason why you're not going to see Children of the Corn in Halloween Horror Nights. Same exact principle. So, characters. Characters you're going to see in the maze. I'm guessing characters you're also going to see in the house in Orlando. You have the Bride in Black. You have the lipstick-faced demon. You have the various ghosts of the further. New ones and old favorites. Now, the further itself, you're going to spend a lot more time in there. It's very prominent inside the maze. All the way from the beginning until the end. So, it's going to go in chronological order from 3 up to 2. And I know that doesn't make any sense to those who have not seen the film, but technically 3 is a prequel. And if you watch 3 first and then watch 1 and 2, 1 may make even more sense than it already did. And then, of course, you watch 2 and you got that weird time travel stuff. And yeah, that's another thing altogether. I want to see crazy Patrick Wilson in the Blue Rooms. Now, new approaches to environments done previously and moments that weren't done last time will be included inside this maze. Introducing different environments and characters, and obviously this also mentions the man who can't breathe, which is a character from Chapter 3, or as I like to call him, Dr. Satan, in blue. So yeah, that's going to happen in the maze in Hollywood. So it sounds really awesome. The transitions from film to film is going to be done through the red door or the elevators. So the elevator, obviously, what we're talking about from the previous two movies, but the red doors, obviously everyone knows that R-U-N, that is basically the Insidious like tagline, basically the I-N in there, or the psi in there. So yeah. Basically, it's not the house that's possessed, it's you that's possessed, so that's pretty much where we're going from there. Now, this also connected to another one of the unbreakable John Murdy code names, and this one ties into what we all said it would, and that is post-punk. Now, if you were not remembering what post-punk was, post-punk had 3 hints. 3 hints were as followed. One of the key members of this group, known for bands that would be labeled new wave or no wave or new romantic or goth or industrial, one of those members of that group shares one of his names. He has technically 4 names. John Robert Francis Murdy would be his legitimate name, says on his birth certificate. So this ties into The Cure and Robert Smith. Obviously, that goes into the Robert. Now, one of the words in the song title is something that modern technology has killed. It might go extinct one day. Some might say it almost already has. And that is a letter. And technology, of course, has killed snail mail due to emails and other forms of technology. And the song is called A Letter to Elise. And Elise is the character that Lin Shaye plays in Insidious. Now, the song is also not obscure as you may think. It was released as a single. This song was released as the 3rd and final single taken from the album Wish in 1992. So basically we have The Cure's Robert Smith, A Letter to Elise, and Elise being the name of Lin Shaye's character in Insidious. So yes, post-punk is Insidious, and we all broke that code word, so yeah. It wasn't the hardest code word. I'm sure that Murdy's going to make us pay for that later on. But 0-2, and I'm happy to say that. So that's what we've got for Hollywood. And Hollywood sounds like it's going to be a really fun time, and it's going to be really good for people that got to go through the maze previously in 2013, and for those who have never got to a chance to experience it. Now we move over to my event. That is, obviously, Halloween Horror Nights 25. And Orlando's first Insidious house. Now, this house will be located in Sprung Tent 2, a location that has housed the iconic Halloween house from last year. And they have had some interesting things. Obviously, before that, we had Afterlife Best Vengeance. And strangely enough, Penn and Teller nuked Las Vegas. So, in all essence, I really think the property that is going to be in Sprung Tent 1, or rumored to be in Sprung Tent 1, should be in Sprung 2. Why? Because Penn and Teller was already there, so it makes perfect sense, given the fact of who I am, that it would be. But that's another story altogether, and you probably understand what I mean by context clues. Now, they gave a lot of code names, and I'm going to list those off here, and we're going to talk about them real quick after we get out of Insidious. I'm going to be the last thing I want to talk about in this video. The code name here is Beyond. Obviously, that makes perfect sense why it was on the permits. Go to the cityoforlando.net permit site, and they would list these code words that were for the locations of the prospective houses at the event this year. The prospective 9 houses of Halloween Horror Nights 25. Now, basically, this is a you scratch my back, I scratch your situation. Mike Aiello had gotten John Murdy in touch with John Landis, and doing An American Werewolf in London 2 years ago basically was the catalyst to bring it to Hollywood eventually. So obviously, You Scratch My Back as get you in touch with John Landis, and that brought Werewolf to Hollywood last year. And I Scratch Yours, be it John Murdy, got all the T's and dotted the lowercase J's. Everything in the contracts worked out, so Lee Winnell would bring his Insidious property to Orlando, finally making everyone in Orlando happy that we're not able to travel to Hollywood for their maze in 2013. Because I've been hearing it for the last 2 years how we want Insidious. And I'm intrigued, I really am. Now, there's some interesting things that is going to be mentioned about Orlando's house that is not about Hollywood's maze. Now, obviously, Hollywood has the advantage of the fact that they've done this before. Orlando, it's a completely blank slate, so you've got a lot of interesting things. And it states here, there's no, like, Return to the Fur, this is just simply Insidious. This is the first 3 films, and it's going to tie in chronological order, the same thing it did with Hollywood. My guess, obviously, is the fact that it was supposed to be a Chapter 3, and then they would take, like, liberties with the intellectual property in Hollywood, and that's going to be what happened. Bernie changed his mind, decided to incorporate scenes from all three, and that's the reason you have that in Hollywood. Orlando, on the other hand, I'm sure was supposed to be all three from the get-go, so that's basically what we've got. The one thing Orlando, I think, is going to may have the advantage on is the score, the soundtrack, the stinging violins, and the creaks of the house, and all the environments. And, like I said, characters. Definitely characters you could see in Hollywood. Maybe some new characters, you never know. We haven't really heard anything about the characters that are going to be included inside the house. But, yeah, it should be really interesting to see what we got from this. And it should be a great experience. The sprung tents are dark, creepy, claustrophobic, feel like a soundstage, but they're like a feeling of foreboding and claustrophobic nightmares, I would call a sprung tent. And having Insidious in a sprung tent, like my friend Aaron said, basically, it's like, no way, good luck. It's basically, you walk in a room, it's pitch black darkness, you see the bride in black, and she has literally that candle, and that's all you see. You have to walk towards her, and I believe this happened in Hollywood's house, but I didn't really get a chance to watch the maze walkthrough of Hollywood yet. I probably will before I make my trip into Insidious in about 59 days as of right now, thank you. Or 58 days now once this video actually airs. So yeah, 58 days till Insidious, so it's going to be fun. So that's what we've got, and sounds really interesting. My interest is piqued, it really is. It really is. And I'm really curious to see what Orlando does with this. It's just going to be a really freaky house, and it sounds like, to me, that the creepy tent that was kind of glossed over last year with Halloween will return. And I'm really, really curious to see what's going to happen next. So it should be really entertaining, really freaky, really scary. A lot of, like, bizarre imagery. I'm really looking forward to this. And I never thought I'd say this based upon it being Insidious, but yeah. Hollywood and Orlando are both knocking out of the park so far this year. Who knows what's coming up next. So, yeah, that's what we've got for Insidious. I do want to talk about a couple things real quick as released via the code names on the permits. Now, first off, there's a scene that if you go onto the Jax Maniacs portion of the Halloween Horror Nights Orlando, the HHN 25 part of the website, the Jax Maniacs section, when Freddy vs. Jason was announced, we saw concept art, like burned concept art, of basically the boiler room, and a scene I know we're going to see inside our house. Now, the scene here kind of takes from La Llorona, and basically I mean by that is there is a lot of room, there's a room with pews, and it's kind of like going to a funeral, basically, or going to a church, and these people are all covered in sheets, and this was done in the movie, I believe it was in Chapter 2, and I'm really curious to see what's static figure and what's actual character. That's going to be a really freaky room to walk through. I'm sure we're going to have like music stings and everything. This is going to be in a really intense house, and I'm really looking forward to it. So let's talk about the code names real quick. So we have 9 code names, one of which already been announced. That is round 2, Freddy vs. Jason. That was the first one. The second one was announced to be, obviously, Beyond, which is Insidious. The third one technically has been announced. Actually, the third and fourth technically have been announced. They were announced first. And those are the code names of Blizzard and Party. Blizzard was something that was confirmed. Party was never completely confirmed, but basically was confirmed. So yes, that's what we've got. We also have code names of Harry and Dynasty, Spandex, Dinner, which is kind of a take it with a grain of salt rumor that was kind of little whispers from the audition process of Horror Nights this year, and Reboot, which I'm not gonna let it get me down. I'm not gonna let a code name get me down. I'm gonna hope for the best. So yeah, I'll get what I want. Seriously, Halloween not from dusk till dawn. Everyone knows that. You know what they mean when I say that. So yeah, that's what we've got, and the code names basically were posted on obviously the favorite website of all people that want all the dirt on Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, and that is HHN Rumors. And basically they posted that all those code names, they tied them into locations. Round 2, of course, Soundstage 24B is Freddy vs. Jason's location. And this soundstage has actually been used previously. I actually want to get that information for you guys. They have used it in the past. It was Dracula Untold last year, okay? Now, Blizzard is apparently going to be in Soundstage 24A, which is where Alien vs. Predator was last year. A lot of rumors about what Blizzard may or may not be. It sounds like there's going to be a potential mashup of some iconic characters of Halloween Horror Nights past that is going to be included inside this house. But like I said, that's pure speculation. We have Harry, which is in Soundstage 22, which was where From Dusk Till Dawn was last year. And also, it's going to be an interesting queue situation if they go in that direction, but something returning to Soundstage 22 in this case. Sprung 1 will be the reboot, and that's where Dollhouse of the Damned was last year. Like I said, I would have flip-flopped those, but that's just me because of personal reasons. Beyond, of course, is officially Insidious, and that's in Sprung Tent 2, which is where Halloween was last year. Now, Spandex. Spandex is supposed to be the disaster queue, and that's where Giggles and Gore was last year. And then we have Party, which is supposed to be in the Shrek Theater. That is basically another soundstage, pretty much. So, that's the rumor right now. Now, there's two that are kind of, like, questionable what they're going to be. What's Scott? Oh, Scott Hall on you guys right there. You got Dinner, which has been somewhat confirmed via the audition process. Then you have Dynasty. And no, Joan Collins is not going to be at Halloween Horror Nights. But you do have Dynasty is supposed to be located inside the Parade Building. And there's been a lot of rumors what was going to be in the Parade Building this year. And then we found out that they had a facade that's already set up. They had lobster traps in there. And the thing that everybody thought was going to be inside the Parade Building sounds like it's going to a soundstage or back to a soundstage at this case. And it's going to flip-flop with Dinner, which was supposed to be in the Parade Building. But now it's going to be located in Soundstage 21, which hasn't been used since 2013. Whether it was the split home for Cabin in the Woods and Resident Evil Escape from Raccoon City. So we got a lot of things to look forward to. And a lot of fun still to come. Obviously, we're going to be getting another announcement soon. I got a good feeling we're not going to get a shared announcement for a while. I could be proven wrong, but I'm guessing the last share is going to be one of the last announced properties of the entire year. That's what I'm thinking right now, but I don't know if that's true or not. There's a lot of rumors about Hollywood's event. The rumors that they only have 6 houses. The rumors that the Jabberwockies are going to be doing their show this year. The rumors that the outside-the-box property is absolutely insane and something that does not fit whatsoever, but could be interesting to see if they could pull it off. But there's a lot of possible things what could be happening in Hollywood's way. Orlando, pretty much everything is set in stone. We just don't know everything about the scare zones. We do, but don't know everything and won't know absolutely everything until the official announcements. So that's what we've got for today, and as for another reveal, I got a feeling that if there is a Orlando-only announcement, I think it's going to be Reboot, which is going to let me breathe a sigh of relief, finally. And I think Hollywood, if they get anything before Scare LA, my guess is it's not going to have a code name, and I'm thinking we get a return from a short time ago. And by a short time ago, I mean potentially last year, and I'm going to leave it at that. If it's a share we're going to get, I'm going to guess there's only one, because as far as I know, the rumors basically state there's only going to be 2 shares this year. One's already been announced, the other one, yeah, it's going to be announced whether we like it or not, so that's coming up very soon. So if you want to follow Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood on Twitter and hear all the dirt from John Murdy himself, you can follow at Horror Nights. And if you want to follow Halloween Horror Nights Orlando on Twitter and get all the dirt from Orlando from Mike Aiello, you can check out at Horror Nights ORL. While you're there on Twitter, you can follow me. It's at Sir Owen Disney. And you check Pop out on moviepilot.com, moviepilot.com/Sir Owen Disney. And you also can like our Facebook fan page, which is Sir Owen Disney Pop, or search for Sir Owen Disney and Pop. Check out Halloween Horror Nights forums at USH Forums, as well as Orlando United and Horror Night Nightmares. Check out HHNCrypt.com and DesigningFear.com, and some of the really awesome Halloween Horror Nights Updaters on YouTube. My good friends in the Horror Nights Updaters. My friend Vic, Dr. Emmett Brown 1, my friend Aaron, The Red Steel TV, my friend John, Psychomassacre Films, and my friend Neil, UK HHN, my friend David, Crazy Englishman, my friend Tristan, HHN Fan 16, my friend James, HHN Updated 1, my friend Matt, HHN Trogdor, HHN Fanboy, Thrill Seeker Network, Jeremy Films with 2 Z's, and First Class Horror. So that being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.